you've worked on the right things for your game to accomplish your goals next year. New Year's is coming up soon. The resolutions are going to be flying. Choose your goals for next year. Figure out what you want to do with the game of golf, why you play, what's going to help you have more fun next year, and let's get together and figure it out. Now, I know for me, I have a lot of fun when I'm scoring well. And a key to scoring well is the short game. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a formula here to figure out how to dial in your short game. And this is going to be something to really pay attention to in the off season so you don't let it get rusty. All right. Grab your wedges. Pick your favorite one. I have a 52 in my hand. My favorite happens to be my 56. I have the 52 here today. Figure out a baseline with each club. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to use two different techniques in two different lengths each to give ourselves basically four numbers that we know how far the ball is going to go when we do these things. Okay. And the first one is going to be what I'm going to call the Y technique. And we talked about this a few videos ago when I had the pen up here in my lead wrist and we were keeping our wrists nice and stable. And I talked about the triangle that's formed between our arms. Okay. I call this the Y technique because when we look at the arms and the club, they basically form a Y. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep that lowercase looking Y pretty steady, back to that pen drill, back and forth. And what I want you to do is I want you to get really comfortable with not letting the wrist do this. Okay, that's what the pen drill is first. Get that pen out. Make sure you're able to do this pretty easily. Then what we're going to do is I want you to figure out how small of a swing can you make with good rhythm. Let's go back to the short game tempo drill from a few videos ago as well. That was even before the pen one. Going back, take a look at that video, then come back and finish this one and you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's get a nice tempo and figure out what's the shortest swing I can make with that nice tempo. Hit a ball. Use a simulator or a launch monitor to figure out exactly how far that ball traveled in the air. It's called the carry distance. We're always looking at carry distance here in the short game. We'll figure out once we get outside how far the ball rolls after that. But let's figure out our carry number for this. This might only be 8, 9, maybe 10 yards. Okay, that's perfect. I happen to know my 56-degree numbers off the top of my head. When I make my shortest, it is 6 yards. Now, what we're going to do next, once we've established how far that shot goes, we're then going to take that same Y and all we're going to do is keep it intact and then just move it as far as we can using mainly our big muscles here. Notice I haven't gotten wristy. I haven't used my arms. That Y stayed intact. Okay. I've got a little bit of lower body movement just kind of reacting to the swing of the arms, but I'm basically using my lats and my shoulders to move that club as far back and through as I can without any breakdown of mechanics and then figure out how far that ball travels. With my 56 degree, mine goes 35, 38 yards, somewhere in that ballpark. So I know that if I make that move in good rhythm with my 56-degree wedge, I know pretty much exactly how far it's going to carry. Now, here's the cool thing. Then from your minimum yardage to your maximum yardage, it's everything else just somewhere in between there. So for 6 to 35 yards, I know my 56 degree pretty well. So if you tell me that I have to land it at 27 yards, I'm going to come pretty close. Okay, I know what that feels like. It's about there. Okay. Now, I said there's going to be two techniques. The next technique is going to give us a little more distance than we had that with that Y one. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to call this the hinge technique. You can even call it the L technique. And all we're going to do is we're going to take our trail arm and let the elbow fold just a little bit. Just add a little bit of length to the arc of the swing and a little bit of athleticism here in this right side. You notice I'm not doing this kind of stuff. Okay, we don't need this much arm movement to happen in the short game. The more of this we do, the less control we have. Okay, the less consistent we're going to be. So we're going to keep this to a minimum. We're just going to let it stay athletic, right? And it's going to end up looking a little bit like this. My stance might get a little bit wider to support a little bit longer version of a swing. But we're going to take this lowercase y. We're going to hinge that elbow a little bit. And now I'll go ahead and swing that through again. with the same tempo. Okay, there's no more aggression here. There's no more purposeful acceleration. We're going to use that same tempo. We're just going to hinge that trail arm a little bit, and you notice that club head travels a little bit further as I do that, and you're going to make the shortest version of that you can. Figure out how far the ball goes. Then, you guessed it, once you figure out how far it goes with the shortest one, you're going to do the same thing, and you're simply going to turn your torso more to get that club head to travel faster. Now, you notice I'm not getting any more aggressive with this. Okay, I'm also not going really long and then trying to stop it to hit it shorter. I want to go back and forth with that nice tempo we talked about back in the previous video, and then figure out how far your longest shot is with that. Again, I'm going to go back to my 56 degree. I have 6 yards as my minimum Y version, Y swing. I have about 35 yards as my maximum Y swing. Now, I'm lucky because it just so happens that the shortest hinge swing I can make also goes 35 yards. Matches up pretty nicely. Then, when I make the longest one, and again, it's the same amount of hinge, okay, in that trail side, it's just more torso turn to get that club up to the back. And it looks kind of like a full swing, but I'm not using full swing acceleration. I'm not using full swing aggression. I'm not using full swing tempo. When it gets up there and I make my um, nice, smooth, short game tempo, it goes about 85 yards. So from 6 yards to 85 yards, you put a 56-degree wedge in my hand and you call out a number, I can basically tell you exactly where it's going to land. I can get it to land pretty much right where you asked me to, because I know and I've practiced those 4 numbers: my short Y, my long Y, my short hinge, and my long hinge, enough to know what those numbers feel like. And so you're able to establish good feel then in between all of those numbers. You got to work on it to be able to do it. Okay? You want to score better, you want to have more fun next year, this is going to be a great thing to do all winter long. Come on out, take some lessons, get on a coaching plan. I look forward to seeing you soon.